Hey, welcome back to my channel, King Kayla's Books. I'm Kayla, and this is my December wrap-up.
Hi guys, this is Kayla from the future, and with me, no makeup. This is going to be a lengthy video because I talk slow, and I talk slow for numerous reasons. One, I am from the South. I'm from Houston, Texas. Two, it's because I have a stutter problem. My thoughts run faster than my mouth, so I have to talk really slow so I can think first about what I have to say, and then I can articulate what I say next. So please have patience with me. If you have any advice about speaking, public speaking, since that's something I struggle with a lot, is public speaking, then please let me know, comment below. But please enjoy the video. I know it's a lengthy video. It's my December wrap up, and I'm reviewing each book. If it's too lengthy, you can always watch a little bit and come back, But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.
Since the video was long overdue, so I decided to put on a little bit of makeup and get dolled up and cute or whatever and it's 8 p.m. as well, so I decided to make a video. Here's all the December books that I've read. First book, this chunk of a book that's 800 pages. Should I say even more? Anyways, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, also known as Crescent City. Now, this is an assault weapon because of how thick it is. It was also a mental workout as well. This was a murder mystery, an adult high fantasy book as well. And it's about Bryce, who is this half fae. And in this world, only the supernatural, which is like vampires, fairies, angels, anything that's not human are the upper class and humans are the lower class. And so Bryce is half fae and half human, and she is considered the high class, but since she's half fae, she's treated lower class. And so her best friend is murdered, and she has been assigned to solve her best friend's murder with the help of this angel hunt, and it goes from there. And I enjoyed this book. It was quite a book. I don't think it should have been 800 pages. It could have been easily condensed to 500, even 400 pages, because I feel like the mystery of this was ridiculous. Take one step closer to solve the mystery only to be back to square one. And it keeps doing that over and over again till the last 200 pages of the book, which is the climax. And I've definitely enjoyed I definitely enjoyed. That was probably one of my favorite parts. Was the climax. Now there's one thing Sarah J. Maas can do is write you a good climax, but what I didn't like about the climax was that it dragged on and on, and I'm at the point I was just like, can we wrap this up? Like, wrap it up. Let's end this already. But I feel like the romance was corny. I'm not new to Sarah J. Maas. I've read her books before. I read the Crown of Thorns and Roses series and the first 2 books of the Throne of Glass series. I might finish that series. I don't know. I'm still contemplating, but I'm definitely reading the 4th book, the Court of Thorns and Roses series. So I'm not new to Sarah J. Maas and her writing. And I feel like if you are already familiar with Sarah J. Maas, then you will definitely enjoy this book. And it will be much more easier to get into this book because it's a lot of information in the beginning of the book, because it's high fantasy and it's a lot of names and places and history to remember, and you don't have a glossary or a guide to help you remember all of this stuff. What I didn't like about it was just so much information in the beginning of the book. to remember. And one of my favorite parts of this book is Bryce and Rune's sibling relationship. They didn't have a good relationship the majority of the book, but at the end when they made up was like the best part. One of the best parts to me. And I love Rune as also. Hunt was an okay love interest. I mean, their romance was cute, I guess, but at the same time it was corny as well. Definitely enjoyed this book. I rated it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite book of 2020 because there was still issues that I had, what I said before, but it was definitely an enjoyable read, and I would definitely read the second book. I honestly think that it would have been fine as a standalone because it told a good story and it could have been wrapped up pretty well. But they still had more plot enough for a second book. So I guess I'll just read the second book. Anyways, the second book I read in December. Usually I read a contemporary book after I read a heavy fantasy book because I just want something easy to read. It doesn't take a lot of mental concentration. So I read Love's Recipe by Mila Nix. And this is a romance contemporary. It was a short, quick read. I rated 2 stars.
I'll read the synopsis. Rosalie Underwood is a broke, recently divorced single mother after she's forced to return to her hometown, St. Astor's, Louisiana. She lands a waitressing job at Addie's Creole Cafe. Life's not done giving her lemons just yet, though Addie's Creole Cafe is on the brink of going out of business. If Rosalie hopes to recover from her disastrous marriage and keep her job, she must figure out a way to save the restaurant. But the only question is how. When Nicholas Fontaine hires Rosalie Underwood, he doesn't expect his newest waitress to stir the pot. He was hoping to keep up the charade and he's created since his mother's passing. Soon, he realizes that Rosalie refuses to let Addie's fail. She cooks up a plan to salvage the business, including the part where she enters the restaurant in a food competition to generate town-wide buzz. There's no time for butting heads. The clock is ticking and her business is tanking. Nick's stuck teaching Rosalie how to cook the one-of-a-kind menu. Rosalie's trying her best to learn a delicious recipe in order to succeed. They must come together and work as a team. The brewing feelings between them only complicates matters. Is this a recipe for disaster or a recipe for love?
Now this book, it's a cute book. Not the cutest, fluffiest books I've read, and I enjoy fluffy books, but this book, it was okay. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like the romance. It was kind of insta-love to me, but it is a quick read. If you're looking for a cute, quick read with some romance, not a lot of drama, then this will be your book. But even though my favorite part of this book was the drama, Rosalie's relationship with her mom and her baby daddy, that was probably the best part to me, and I wish she explored more on that part. The author didn't really give a solution to her and her baby daddy problem. It is what it is. But yeah, I rated 2 stars. It wasn't a bad book. I just wish there was a little bit more. And also the conflict, the miscommunication trope was in this book, and I did not like it. And I actually like the miscommunication trope, but it wasn't really done well in this book, and there's no point of the miscommunication, because really what happened was these men that wanted to buy Nick's restaurant, but he said no, and he didn't tell Rosalie this. But when Rosalie found out, she got mad at Nick for not telling her, and so she's like,
why didn't you tell me that you were going to sell the restaurant?
And he's like,
well, I was never going to sell the restaurant anyway, so what was the point of telling you?
And then she would say,
why didn't you tell me that you were going to sell the restaurant?
And then he proceeds to say,
but I was never going to tell you that I was going to sell the restaurant. That was never my plan. So I said I didn't see a point of telling you.
And then it will repeat like that, and then she got so mad that she stopped talking to him. And it was just so stupid to me. Like, he was never going to sell the restaurant, so what was the point of talking to him because of that? And so that was my big issue with that. Cute book, not memorable. The worst book I read, certainly not the best. Second book I read was Never Look Back by Lillian Rivera. I rated this 3 stars, 2.5 really, but I rounded up to 3 on Goodreads. Synopsis is:
She comes to the Bronx as a girl haunted by losing everything in Hurricane Maria, and by an evil spirit, Atto, she finally expects the tragedy that befell her and her family in Puerto Rico to catch up with her in New York, yet for a time she can almost set this spirit aside because there's this boy. Diaz is a golden voiced bachata singing charmer ready to spend the summer on the beach with his friends, serenading his on again, off again flame. That changes when he meets Yuri. All he wants is to put a smile on her face and fight off her demons. But some dangers are too powerful for even the strongest love, and as the world threatens to tear them apart, Yuri and Diaz must fight for each other and their lives.
This book, I enjoyed this book more than Love's Recipe. It was a quick and easy book to read. I like Fia's temperate with magical realism as well, and I liked the magical realism part. It was an interesting read. It was also a little weird as well. There was, at some points, it got a little bit weird for me, but it wasn't the most memorable book. If you're looking for a retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice's mythology story, then I would recommend you this book. Now, this next book that I've read that everybody loves was Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I absolutely love this book. I rated it 4.5 stars. One of my favorite books of 2020. What I loved most about this book is that it gave me that nostalgic feel of reading YA back when I was a teenager. Like, that same enjoyment back then. That's how I felt reading this book. And this was a YA fantasy. I absolutely adored it. And character was a black girl, and it had King Arthur's story in it. And it had Black history in it as well, and magic, and it was great. It was great. I loved it. I loved the magic in it. I'm just gonna tell you the synopsis.
After her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories, childhood home. The residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape, until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feed on human energies. A secret society of so-called Legendborn students that hunt the creatures down. A mysterious teenage mage, or mod, I can never pronounce that right, who calls himself a Merlin and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. The magic failure unlocks Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on a police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of her initiates. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legendborn with his own grudge against the group, and the reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secrets and closer to each other. But when the Legendborn reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain that a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she'll go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take down society or join the fight.
Oh gosh, okay. Ending of this book was my favorite. It was the best part of the story. It made me excited for the second book. Like, I need the second book. I highly anticipated books for 2021. Issue for this book, it confused me when she was getting into this Legendborn society. That part confused me, like how it was ran. That part confused me a little bit. The insta-love, the romance, it was very insta-lovey. I mean, it didn't bother me too much. And I love the King Arthur's story. There's these 2 books that I read that made me very into it, and then very into historical books in 2020, and I will talk about that later in the video. But yes, I enjoyed King Arthur aspect in this story, the Black history as well. I like how it was meshed together. It was a good story. I really enjoyed, the author told a really good story. I'm just so excited for the second book. 4th book that I read was Bloodleaf by Crystal Smith. It was an okay book, not a really memorable book because I barely remember what happened, but I did rate it 3 stars. I did enjoy the story, but it was confusing in most parts. Here's the synopsis.
Aurelia is a princess, but they called her a witch. Surrounded by spirits and burdened with forbidden magic, she lives in a constant fear of discovery by the witch hunting tribunal and their bloodthirsty mob. Devastated assassination that reveals her magical abilities, Aurelia is forced to flee her country with nothing but her life. In an enemy's kingdom, Aurelia plans her revenge against the tribunal, desperate to bring down her dark organization that was wrought terror upon her people for hundreds of years. But there is something deeply amiss in her new home too. Soon she finds herself swept into a deadly new mystery with a secretive prince, the ghost of an ancient queen, and a poison vine called Bloodleaf. Aurelia is entangled in a centuries-long game of love, power, and war, and if she can't break free before the tribunal makes its last move, she may lose far more than her crown.
This book was confusing, not really a memorable book. I have nothing really much to say. It's just the history aspects, the background, the setting was very confusing to me. It didn't tell a bad story and it won't be a book that I would recommend as well. So that's all I have to say about that book. The romance was okay. It wasn't a bad read. I did like it, but not much to say. Fifth book I read in December was this fantasy standalone called Among the Beasts and Briars by Ashley Poston. This book was a cute story. I really did enjoy it. The only problem was the ending. So here's what's it about.
Sirius is safe in the kingdom of Aloria. Here there are no drought, disease, or famine, and peace is everlasting. It has been this way for hundreds of years since the first king made a bargain with the lady who ruled the forest that borders the kingdom. But as Aloria prospered, the woods grew dark, cursed, and forbidden. Sirius knows that all too well. When she was young, she barely escaped as the woods with her friends and her mother. Now Sirius carries a small bit of courage, the magic in her blood, a reminder of a day she lost everything. Most danger she faces now as a gardener's daughter is the annoying fox who stalks the royal gardens and won't leave her alone. As the new queen is crowned, however, things long hidden in the woods descend on the kingdom itself. Sirius is forced on the run. Her own companions, the small fox from the garden, a strange and powerful bear, and the magic in her veins. It's up to her to find a legendary lady of the wilds and beg for a way to save her home. But the road is darker and more dangerous than she knows. And as secrets from the past uncover amid the teeth and roots of the forest, is going to take everything she has just to survive.
Oh, I don't remember much about the story. I did enjoy the romance. I like the love interest. It's told in both point of views of Sirius and the male love interest. I really like the male love interest. Chapters like his point of view. He was an interesting character, and the cover is very pretty. I think the cover is very pretty. Oh god, I am bad at giving reviews, as you can see, but it wasn't at all a bad story. I really did enjoy reading the story as well. I would recommend it if you want a quick fantasy read. I would definitely recommend this book as well. It wasn't a bad book at all. I rated it 3.5 stars. The problems I had with the book was the ending. I did not like the ending at all. I feel like the ending was kind of rushed in a way. Next book I read was On the Rebound by Alexandra Warren. It was the 6th book I read this month, and I enjoy it. It's the 3rd book in Trojan. The series is companion books centered around basketball. I read only the 2nd book. I read it earlier this year, earlier in 2021, and I love it so much. It's one of my favorite romances of all time. So On the Rebound, it's the 3rd companion series. Here's the synopsis.
I'm not patient with a lot of things, but for you, I'll wait a lifetime. With his entire career ahead of him as the starting point guard for Tennessee Trojans, Cage Steele is feeling on top of his game. He's got the talent, he's got the attention, and most importantly, he's reckoning more than enough money to have the entire world at his fingertips. But after his summer spent enjoying the fruits of his labor, basketball isn't the only thing on his mind coming into his 2nd season, since he can't seem to forget about the gorgeous sports reporter he shared a moment with back in Sin City. Lou Taylor is living out her childhood dreams, and as the offspring of her radio personality and a professional football player, using her voice to talk sports was practically what she was born to do. Naturally, that also means coming into contact with a lot of her athletes, including the slightly younger, simply sexy point guard out of Nashville, who she tried to forget about after breaking her own rule of not fraternizing with active players. For the moment they locked eyes, Cage knew Blue was something special. For the moment they kissed, Blue knew Cage was a problem. But when they both find themselves on separate downward spirals regarding their lives and careers, the ability to rebound from those individual events becomes a lot easier once they finally decide to stop relying on self and instead choose to turn to each other.
I love this book. I love Cage, the male love interest. I love him so much. I enjoyed the book. He actually was the one that shined through. Like, he is just... And I love the romance. I definitely enjoyed the romance. That's probably my favorite thing about this book, was definitely the romance. One thing I didn't like about this book was it was set in modern time. When I say modern, like as in like right now, because it does include COVID. You have to social distance because of COVID and stuff, and I just didn't like this. I wish it was still set in modern day, but like another time where there wasn't COVID, because I don't want to read about COVID. I don't want to be reminded about COVID in my books. Like, that's one thing I hate about this book. But other than that, I definitely enjoyed the romance. I did like Blue, but I loved Cage more. All his lines were just so smooth, and he's just so swoon worthy. I definitely recommend this book. Definitely had to read the 1st book in the companion series and the 4th book. The 4th book already came out. is it better than the second book? No. That's the 7th book that I read in the month of December. Was his popular book that everyone loved, was A Song of Wraith, the Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I can't say that wrong, but y'all, the picture, the cover, I'm pretty sure you guys all know what I'm talking about. Roseanne A. Brown. Now, I really enjoyed this book. This was a great first book. I loved it. It is a West African inspired fantasy synopsis.
For Malik, the Solstasia Festival is a chance to escape his war-stricken home and start a new life with his sisters in the prosperous desert city of Zaran. But when a vengeful spirit abducts Malik's younger sister, Nadia, as payment to the city, Malik strikes a fatal deal. Kill Karina, crown princess of Zaran, for Nadia's freedom. Karina has deadly aspirations of her own. Her mother, the Sultana, has been assassinated. Her court threatens mutiny, and Solstasia looms like a knife over her neck. Grief-stricken, Karina decides to resurrect her mother through ancient magic, requiring the beating heart of her king, and she knows just how to obtain one, by offering her hand in marriage to the victor of the Solstasia competition. When Malik rigs his way into the contest, they are set on a course to destroy each other. But as attraction flares between them and ancient evil stare, will they be able to see their ties to the death?
What really shined in this book was Malik. Malik was just such a sensitive, soft boy, and he was just, and I liked his magic and his storytelling magic, and I enjoyed reading from his point of view. Karina was okay with me. There's some stuff in her chapters I didn't like, but I did enjoy her, and I like their romance. I like their attraction to each other. Romance is also pretty sad because they're on opposite sides. Also liked about this book was Eder, the spirit that takes Malik's sister. I did like Eder. Malik and Eder's relationship towards the end of the book, and I'm excited to explore more of that in the second book. I was really excited about Malik's story, like what he has going on. That's what I'm most excited about for the next book. Karina trying to navigate through her kingdom without her mom and stuff. That was interesting to see, and yeah, I actually really like it. I see how everybody liked this story too, and how it's everyone's favorite. I rated it 4 stars off of Goodreads, and yes, I definitely enjoyed it.
Thank you guys for making it to the end of the video. I did not make a conclusion for this video, so thank you guys for, coming to the end. I'm gonna post my 2020 year wrap up. Keep a lookout for that. It's already filmed. Hopefully I can get more active. I've been having some technical difficulties. Thank you so much, guys, for making it to the end, and comment and subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.